from ancient myths to the most thrilling and dangerous encounters with snakes. Today, we will witness frightening yet captivating stories in which people come face to face with the most treacherous and deadly representatives of the snake world. No one can ever predict how the smooth-skinned predator will behave. Imagine a serene morning when you notice a king cobra, approximately 12 feet long, slithering into your garden. Most people would be horrified and rush for cover, but the heroic dog from this story chose otherwise. Instead of running away, it decided to take on the fight. The situation became even more intense when another dog joined in, ready to help its friend. King cobras do not forgive mistakes. Even having the advantage in numbers does not always guarantee safety. However, these two fearless, four-legged companions worked together and defended their territory, driving away the uninvited guest. This episode once again reminds us of the strength that unity brings in the face of danger. It is hard to imagine what could drive a person to think about kissing a python. Yet that is exactly what one tourist did during a trip to Thailand, apparently feeling either invulnerable or simply spurred on by reckless excitement. The python did not appreciate the gentle gesture. It launched a swift attack and sank its teeth into the daredevil's face. Zoo employees rushed to pry its jaws apart, and the tourist was taken to the hospital, where he required medical care. Later reports indicated that he received financial compensation for the damage, but it is doubtful that any amount of money can erase the psychological shock of such a close encounter with a reptile. Snakes are born masters of camouflage, and this case from Vietnam only confirms the rule. A group of reptile hunters went out in search of large specimens and unexpectedly stumbled upon an entire underground stash. When they began digging up the ground, an enormous python emerged into the light. It seemed to be trying to find the perfect hiding spot. Some believed that the animal had only recently dined and was preparing for a long rest. Such a scene shows just how smart and ingenious snakes can be, skillfully hiding from unwanted eyes in their natural surroundings. When a pair of bloggers known as Cole and Jay went fishing, they had no idea that a surprising encounter awaited them. During filming, the young woman noticed something unusual gliding beneath the water's surface. Intrigued, she reached out her hand and suddenly discovered a diamondback rattlesnake there. The snake clearly did not appreciate being disturbed during a peaceful swim. Determined to show who was in charge, it bit the young woman. It might have ended badly, but it turned out that this particular specimen was not venomous. The injured person ended up with a few stitches, though no one is ever safe from painful punctures. This case underlines the need for extreme caution when you venture into nature seeking adventure. Rabbits seem gentle and harmless at first glance, but as soon as their babies are in danger, you will see true bravery. In a video recorded in the mid-2000s, a black and white rat snake grabbed a baby rabbit and was already preparing for its meal. However, the snake did not account for the fighting spirit of the mother rabbit. The whiskered parent attacked the enemy, forced it to retreat, and did not even give it a chance to slip away quietly. This episode perfectly illustrates that motherly love is a dangerous thing for anyone who decides to threaten the offspring, even if you are a snake. Some people cannot sit still without tempting fate, and one man decided to test a python's patience. He got too close to the reptile's face, thinking he would capture a few spectacular shots. The result was impressive, but certainly not pleasant. The snake lunged and bit him right on the head. Fortunately, the python was not venomous, so the victim was left with a wound and most likely a valuable lesson. There are countless such cases, and they all teach us that snakes do not tolerate provocation or a lack of space for maneuvering. The show, Real Girls in the Jungle, which aired in the Netherlands, was famous for its extreme challenges. In one of the episodes, a brave participant was asked to open a box that contained a real boa constrictor. The young woman did not have the courage to refuse. She lifted the container's lid and immediately felt its suffocating grip on her arm. The hosts and assistants rushed to help, but the snake did not want to release its victim. The footage turned out so dramatic that viewers could not help but wonder if it is worth making such sacrifices for the sake of a questionable show. Motherly instinct can turn even a calm snake into a true guardian of its clutch. Famed snake handler Jay Brewer once found this out through personal experience. In one of the recordings that appeared on the internet in the year 2021, he tried to carefully remove a python's eggs, but the reptile immediately bristled and attacked him without hesitation. Jay managed to react in time, but the bite nearly turned out to be quite serious. The emotions and dynamics of this encounter are impressive. Any mother, even a reptile, is capable of protecting her offspring to the last. In the mid-2000s, several friends in Miami decided to go on an exotic fishing trip in a storm drain, hoping to find large fish or something else interesting there. However, instead of a fish, they stumbled upon a huge python lurking in this grim body of water. Fortunately, they had invited a friend named Jacob, a snake catcher, who helped professionally remove the reptile. When he carefully climbed under the grate and with effort pulled out a colossal snake, everyone froze in terror and awe. In the end, the python was transferred into reliable hands, and the guys got a story they would definitely never forget. Snake venom is a serious matter, and rattlesnake venom is considered especially treacherous. A herpetologist named George Van Horn in Florida had spent years practicing venom extraction for scientific purposes. But even his professionalism could not save him from a mistake. One day he approached a rattlesnake with too much confidence, and the reptile struck his hand. Fortunately, the serpentarium already had anti-venom on hand, so help arrived quickly. Nevertheless, it all confirms that joking with venomous snakes is extremely dangerous, and even experts can end up in the hospital if they get distracted for even a split second. Gerald Haywood certainly did not expect a visitor when he arrived in Lawton in the year 2017 to visit a friend. Everything was calm until he opened the door and saw something long and slippery that suddenly jumped right at his face. It turned out to be a bull snake about 5 feet in length, which attacked Gerald, striking him just under the eyebrow. Fortunately, the snake was non-venomous, but the bite was quite painful. Gerald rushed to the hospital, and the doctors quickly confirmed that all was well. It is hard to imagine how he now feels about going to visit someone. A quiet evening, pleasant company, drinks, snacks, and suddenly someone notices a striped snake at their feet. That sort of surprise is unlikely to add cheer. In one piece of security camera footage, you can see a group of friends relaxing at a table, until one of them moved back and noticed something off. It is easy to sympathize with the friends clutching their chests. No one expects a cold-blooded predator slithering under the table. Fortunately, it all ended with the snake being driven away, and the friends definitely got an extra dose of spice added to their already eventful evening. Anything can happen in the wild. When a 6-meter anaconda spots large prey such as a capybara, the largest rodent on the planet, the outcome is often inevitable. A capybara reaches impressive size, which can provide a true feast for the snake. An anaconda does not use venom. It kills by constriction, squeezing with unwavering persistence. Once the reptile coils around the unfortunate victim's body, there is almost no chance of escape. These frames, appearing in the late 2000s, show the harsh laws of the wild, where there is no place for mercy. This is a story about a woman who had long dreamed of owning a snake as a pet and finally made up her mind. She thought it would be impressive and interesting, believing that snakes possess a kind of mysterious magic. However, keeping a cold-blooded friend at home turned out to be far more complicated. Unlike familiar cats and dogs, snakes require a different kind of care. One day, she decided to let her pet slither around the yard, but the moment it was out, it coiled around her and began to squeeze. Her husband, initially filming everything with delight, suddenly realized this was not snake cuddles, but a genuine threat to her life. Luckily, the woman escaped with a fright, and the startled husband managed to help. After that incident, it is unlikely that anyone in the family will take such experiments lightly again. When you walk into an internet cafe, you certainly do not expect to run into a snake, especially if you are in a crowded place. Yet this is precisely what happened in Thailand, where cameras recorded how an unsuspecting visitor left the hall and was met by a striped snake right at the doors. Luckily, the patron managed to jump back in time, and the snake itself seemed unprepared for so much attention. Everyone present was shocked, and the reptile was forced to retreat. The story ended safely, but it undoubtedly gave everyone involved a surge of adrenaline. Among street performances in some countries, snake charmers are genuine stars. They are credited with a supernatural bond with reptiles, as though they can read the creature's thoughts. But even the most experienced magicians have dangerous mishaps. In one such episode, a 35-year-old charmer was demonstrating his skill with a king cobra when it suddenly bit him on the hand. The victim was rushed to the hospital, where doctors administered antivenom. To avoid complications, the man had to spend several days on life support. The story clearly shows that even professionals are not immune to fatal errors. Some people love exotic pets, but one should always remember that no matter how friendly a snake may seem, it is still a wild creature at heart. That is exactly what happened to a woman in around the 2000s when her beloved python suddenly went on the attack. She'd been caring for the reptile and everything seemed fine. But suddenly the python lunged, bit her, and began wrapping itself around her, attempting to coil around her body. Another person ran to help, trying to pull the snake away and stop the bleeding. This case is a reminder that you must never let your guard down with wild animals, even those living under your own roof. Working at a snake shelter is not the safest occupation. It often requires combining a love of reptiles with the ability to pay attention to their most subtle signs of aggression. In one video from the late 2010s, a shelter worker decided to pick up a large python, hoping it was ready for calm interaction. But the snake suddenly lunged and bit his chest area, greatly frightening the unfortunate worker. When he tried again to pick up the reptile, it coiled around his body, as if assessing whether it was time to start its hunt. The man managed to get out of this predicament fairly quickly, but the lesson remained for life. Giving snakes personal space is extremely important. Australia is famous for its vast array of dangerous snakes, among which the eastern brown snake stands out. This particular species appeared in a family's yard, putting a little girl at risk. According to the video, a mother was doing laundry with her daughters when the snake suddenly appeared from a hidden spot. The woman immediately shouted, telling the children to step back and quickly shut the door. The father arrived only at the very end of the event, and while the scene was shocking, there were no injuries. The situation suggests that in Australia, you always have to be on guard. If you have ever watched Steve Irwin's shows, you know how lovingly and attentively he treated animals. His son Robert continued his father's work. But even such an experienced naturalist can face the dangers of wild nature. A video clip shows Robert, in the year 2021, holding a young python. Everything was fine until the snake sensed a threat and bit him right in the face. The bite was not fatal, as pythons do not inject venom, but the moment looks quite painful. Nevertheless, as Robert later admitted, such incidents are part of working with animals that are not always ready for close contact with people. You do not have to go into the jungle to encounter snakes. Sometimes they come to your home, as happened in Thailand when an elderly woman was quietly resting in her room. The video shows how the grandmother suddenly wakes up and notices a snake slithering right toward her bed. Fortunately, the elderly lady displayed remarkable quickness, jumping up and calling for help, thus avoiding disastrous consequences. After such a scare, anyone would start thinking twice about how securely they lock doors and windows before going to sleep. Take care of yourselves, stay vigilant, and treat these creatures with sensible caution. You never know what a snake might do if it decides that you have arrived with less than friendly intentions. That is the kind of selection we have put together for you today. Thank you very much for being on the Top Facts channel, in the laboratory of incredible collections of facts and videos from all over the internet. Subscribe to the channel, leave comments, and watch our 2 previous releases right now, which have already appeared on your screen.